Coming up on this edition of Reel to Reel.
I'm Peggy Weber, and I'll be bringing you the story of how the Diocese of Springfield is preparing for the papal visit.
I'm Rebecca Drake. I'll show you the face of the new evangelization in the Springfield Diocese. Here's a hint. It's someone you know very well.
And Father Brian McGrath shares his family recipe for a delicious pasta sauce. These stories and more are just ahead on this edition of Reel to Reel.
Here is your Reel to Reel host, Sharon Roulier.
Hello and welcome to Reel to Reel. While the much anticipated visit of Pope Francis to the United States, the first for the pontiff, is now upon us, with excitement building everywhere. The visit has spawned several local events and planning. Bishop Mitchell Rosansky recently sat down to discuss his involvement in this week's visit, as well as other events that will take place. Peggy Weber has our story.
The United States is preparing to welcome a very special visitor next week. Pope Francis is coming to America, and the Diocese of Springfield is going to play a part in this special visit. Bishop Mitchell T. Rosansky will be very involved in the Pope's itinerary. He spoke to representatives of area media recently and shared his thoughts and schedule.
The whole Catholic Church in the United States is really excited about Pope Francis' upcoming visit.
Bishop Mitch will be with the Pope almost every stop along the way. He will journey to Washington, D.C. for the meeting with U.S. bishops and the Pope at St. Matthew's Cathedral, and attend the Mass of Canonization of Junipero Serra at the Basilica of the Immaculate Conception. However, he told the press that he is especially excited to be a guest of Congressman Richard Neal on September 24th and hear the Pope's address to Congress.
Whenever Pope Francis speaks to a group, he's affirming, but he's also challenging. So I was wondering, how challenging will his message be to those members of Congress?
There will be viewing parties scheduled around this historic event. The Elms College in Chicopee will hold a live viewing in the Mary Dooley Center's dining room with a big screen show at 10 a.m. Faculty will hold a discussion after the talk. This event will be repeated on Thursday night at 7:30 in the Bishop Marshall Center in Springfield, where people can watch a tape of the talk and reflect with faculty. Both are free and open to the public. Martin Peon, a professor of religious studies at the Elm, is coordinating the viewings.
We were just having a discussion about the high level of activity that the current Pope has. There's always something to read, something to check out. And so when we realized that he was going to be addressing Congress, we said, let's do something with this. Let's have an opportunity. Let's create a teachable moment.
There will be many special moments during the Pope's visit. Bishop Mitch will attend the Vesper service at St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York City and a multi-religious service at the 9/11 Memorial and Museum at the site of the World Trade Center. When asked what he would say to the Pope if he got a chance, Bishop Rosansky said,
If I were alone with the Holy Father and had a few moments with him, I would say, keep on doing what you're doing, because you're reaching hearts. You're making people talk about faith who perhaps have not talked about faith in a long time. And you're certainly energizing all of us as we practice the faith by your witness and by how you reach out to others in the name of Christ.
Some people are calling it Popapalooza because the excitement is mounting. It is tangible how happy people are in the United States to welcome Pope Francis. And you know, he might be a little excited too, because it is his first visit to our country. Of course, the main reason Pope Francis is coming to America is to attend the World Meeting of Families in Philadelphia. Bishop Mitch will be a concelebrant at the Mass along the Ben Franklin Parkway, and the Diocese of Springfield is sending several buses of pilgrims. Sister of St. Joseph Kathy Hamrock is coordinating the effort.
You know, I'm thrilled for the people who are asking, calling. We've had so many phone calls and emails, people really wanting to make this trip.
She said the trip would involve a lot of walking, so the people would be true pilgrims. She also did not hesitate when asked what she would say to Pope Francis.
I would say thank you. Thank you for your humanity. Thank you for your obvious willingness to be merciful and forgiving and to help people see that God loves them no matter what their status in life is.
It will certainly be a big week for not just the Catholic Church, but for all people as the Pope journeys to America. And Reel to Reel is sending a crew to Philadelphia on September 27th, so stay tuned for a special report. For Reel to Reel, I'm Peggy Weber.
And again, Catholic Communications is working with the College of Our Lady of the Elms to host the viewing of the papal address to Congress Thursday morning at 10 a.m. the College Campus Center, and again that evening at 7:30 p.m. in the Bishop Marshall Center behind St. Michael's Cathedral. As Catholics in the United States look forward to Pope Francis's visit, and as the worldwide church prepares to celebrate the upcoming Holy Year of Mercy, the Springfield Diocese is busy planning a parish-based evangelization effort. Rebecca Drake tells us more.
They were baptized in Catholic churches, made their first communions and confirmations. But the photos, the rosaries, the medals, and the Bibles have long been packed away or discarded for one of the largest groups of Christians in the United States, non-practicing Catholics. Now, a new evangelization effort in the Springfield Diocese will invite these Catholics to help rebuild the family of faith in local parishes.
We want to learn from them, first of all, about how we can be a more welcoming church, but also possibly sit down and talk to them about why they left. And in some cases, I think it's pain. In other cases, I think it's just lack of understanding. In other cases, it's just habit. We just got out of the habit of doing it.
Whatever their reasons for leaving, Sister Paula Robillard, the Diocesan Faith Formation Director, believes the example of Pope Francis and the leadership of Bishop Rozansky have already begun changing the hearts of the faithful.
I think the idea to design and implement a diocesan evangelization program came from the day we woke up and found out we had a new bishop and a new pope, both of whom had a spirit of welcoming and making people feel like they belong to the Catholic Church.
Bishop Rozansky, who has visited more than 60 of the diocese's 81 parishes in the last year, says the local evangelization effort, along with the upcoming Year of Mercy in the Catholic Church, will help all Catholics renew their faith.
There are many who have stopped practicing their faith, whom we want to invite back and to say, welcome. We are the church. We are here to support you. We're here to live the gospel. Please come back. So this coming year, and coincidentally with the Year of Mercy, it seems an appropriate time to have this effort of evangelization. So I'm looking forward to that.
At Our Lady of the Blessed Sacrament Parish in Westfield, Pastoral Minister Mary Federici also is looking forward to promoting the evangelization effort.
Well, we're all called through our baptism to be evangelizers. We're called to share the message of salvation.
A member of the Diocesan Evangelization Committee, Mary says the goal of the upcoming initiative is to lead those who have been away back to the sacraments.
We just reach out wherever we can to try to bring people through the doors to the sacraments. It's all about bringing people to the sacraments and to bring them to serving the neighbor. That's what we're called to, is to serve.
Of particular concern to many Catholics is the need to encourage teens and young adults to stay connected to their faith and to participate in parish life. Father Matthew Alcombright, who has led local youth groups on mission trips to Haiti, says young Catholics are attracted by two major aspects of the Church: truth and action.
This whole evangelization project is rediscovering those spiritual roots, to get back to the basics, to provide an authentic, true worship for these young adults and young people to experience and to fall in love with.
And that love, which begins with the Eucharist, is what defines and binds us together as Catholics, says Father Matthew.
Our true mission in parish is love. I mean, when people experience true love, the love of God, the love of Christ, and the love that calls us to love with one another, I mean, there's nothing else you could ever want. True love is what calls us.
Sister Paula agrees that, in spite of challenges over the centuries, the Catholic Church endures as a place of hope and beauty.
As a sister of St. Joseph, as the director of Faith Formation, and as a Catholic woman, I know the beauty that exists within the Catholic Church. I also believe that you can't have a lifelong relationship with God unless you have a community to grow from that.
And along with all of the members of the Evangelization Committee, Sister Paula has high hopes for the Springfield Diocese.
I'm hoping that people will see the Catholic Church as a place where they can find God, where they can find the mercy of God, where they can be part of a community, where they can recognize that Jesus loves them.
A hope that those Catholics who have been away will know that they are missed and will return to the place where their journey of faith began. For Real to Real, I'm Rebecca Drake.
Thanks, Rebecca. And as part of this effort, the diocese is currently conducting a survey of active Catholics, those who have moved away from the church, and non-Catholics who work with the Catholic Church. The purpose is to help identify the issues surrounding the relationship people have and perhaps don't have with the Catholic faith. The survey is completely anonymous and available in English and Spanish at iobserve.org. And if you haven't completed it, please consider doing so and consider sharing it with family and friends. And still to come on Real to Real, Dan Dumas takes a look at what's happening in the Diocese of Springfield and in some of the locations Pope Francis will visit. And Father Brian McGrath cooks up a delicious recipe fresh out of the garden. These stories and more are still to come on this edition of Real to Real.
The Chalice of Salvation, your weekly spiritual connection. I'm Pastor's Brother Terrence Scanlon, your Chalice host, inviting you to take time out of your busy days and join us Sunday morning at 10.
The Lord be with you.
We welcome Bishop Mitchell Rosansky as our Mass presider and celebrate the new catechetical year. The Chalice of Salvation, your spiritual connection, Sunday mornings at 10, right here on 22 News.
I'm Dan Dumas with your Real to Real news brief. Cancer has touched the lives of everyone, so it's no surprise that the annual Pink Mass and Celebration of Hope always draws a large congregation. Julie Bollier attended last weekend's Mass.
For the fifth year in a row, a community of worshipers has gathered together in prayer to remember those who have struggled with a diagnosis of cancer. On Saturday, September 12th at 4 p.m., the diocesan-wide Pink Mass was held at St. Michael's Cathedral in Springfield. Springfield Bishop Mitchell T. Rosansky served as celebrant.
For many who are here with the diagnosis of cancer, Jesus truly is the suffering servant who unites human suffering to his own, giving us hope that he himself did not avoid the pain of the cross, but embraced it, seeing beyond his suffering to the redemptive love by which he would be vindicated.
Those of the nearly 300 present have had cancer touch their lives in some way. Sister of St. Joseph Betsy Sullivan is a breast cancer survivor.
I have come every single year for the past 4 years. I am a 4-year cancer survivor, and it means quite a bit to me personally to worship with a community who are survivors, who have lost loved ones, and who have had or who have been recipients of prayers from the parish community.
Terrence Haggerty, former member of the Catholic Communications staff, who currently serves as president of the board of the Celebration of Hope of Western Mass Committee, said that things were done a bit differently this year.
The multiple colored ribbons were so that we could represent all the forms of cancer. We wanted people to understand that this is for anybody who's been affected by any type of cancer. And the anchor is our new symbol as a committee, and the anchor is a long-known old Christian symbol for hope.
And hope was a prevalent theme throughout the service in both music, provided by the diaconates and sons, and prayer, which was sponsored by the Celebration of Hope of Western Mass Committee. Reporting in Springfield, this is Julie Beaulieu.
And on October 4th, the Red Mass for those in the legal profession will be held at 10 a.m. at St. Michael's Cathedral. Also taking place at St. Michael's, the Blue Mass for police and fire personnel will be held on October 17th at 4 p.m. Well, the Pope's visit to our country is now upon us. It comes after much planning. In these Catholic News Service videos, we see two ways those preparations unfolded.
Originally, the idea from this piece came from Sister Mary Scullion of Project Home. She knew that Mary Undoer of Knots was one of his favorite paintings, and Knots being the symbol of universal struggle, perhaps. It's been used in many cultures throughout time. She has always liked that painting as well. So she came and said, what about Mary Undoer of Knots? And then I thought, we don't want to just repaint it. We thought, well, what can we do with these knots?
Archbishop Chaput in Philadelphia, recognizing that the Pope would be here for the World Meeting of Families, he wanted a special emphasis on the poor. And so he established the Committee for Hunger and Homelessness for the World Meeting of Families in honor of Pope Francis's spirit.
To participate, you can, from now until when the Pope comes to Philadelphia, you can submit on a website, mercyandjustice.org. It's all one word. You go there and you push one button, submit not, and type it in. Then we have a scribe here in the studio who will write your email, who will write it onto a prayer slip, and then that will be woven with everyone else's struggle. So it then becomes a collective struggle and prayers for those struggles.
Philadelphia is one of the 10 largest cities in the United States. We have the highest poverty rate. People cannot afford a place to live. People cannot afford the utilities, the other costs associated with maintaining a home. And we work with people who are living on the streets to bring them in, to bring them home.
Everyone may experience something different, but I would want people to experience something significant and something telling in their individual relationship to all of the struggles. And perhaps there's an awareness that comes out of that.
And Catholic Communications will host an evening taped viewing of the Pope's address to Congress Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. at the Bishop Marshall Center behind St. Michael's Cathedral. And remember, you can stay informed on all the happenings of the coming week by logging on to our news and information website, iobserve.org. There you'll find up-to-the-minute and accurate news in the Catholic Church, both here in the Diocese of Springfield and beyond, including ongoing coverage of the Pope's visit. That's our news and information website, iobserve.org. I'm Dan Dumas, and that's your Real to Real News Brief.
Catholic school students, teachers, faculty, and supporters from across the Diocese of Springfield will gather for the 16th annual Catholic Schools Advancement Dinner at the Castle of Knights in Chicopee on October 7th. Each year since 2000, Catholic education is celebrated, and those who have made outstanding contributions on behalf of Catholic education in the diocese have been honored. Joining me now to tell us more about this event is Superintendent of Diocesan Schools, Sister Andrea Suzuki. Welcome, Sister Andrea.
Thank you, Sharon. It's a pleasure to be with you.
So this event has been happening now for more than a decade and a half, and it's something that those involved with Catholic education look forward to each year. What is so special about this night?
Sharon, this is a very special evening because we gather together as a community of people who believe in Catholic school education and who have supported it. So together, again, we recognize, we acknowledge, and we strengthen one another by our presence at this dinner. So we look forward to having everybody again, acknowledge and celebrate Catholic school education.
Can you give us a preview of who will be honored?
Oh yes, we're very pleased this year. We will honor people who espouse the values and the traditions of Catholic school education, and these will be St. Rose de Lima Parish, St. Joan of Arc School, the Hanush Family Jewelers, and Father Peter Gregory.
Are there tickets still available?
Yes, Sharon, those individuals who wish to join us for this great evening can call Stacy DeBurn at the diocesan office for tickets, and we hope that others will join us.
All right, sounds good. Sister Andrea Suzuki, thank you so much, and best wishes for a wonderful dinner.
Thank you, Sharon.
We have more info on our website at iobserve.org. And speaking of food, if you had a garden this summer, you may be wondering what to do with all of those tomatoes. Well, we have a great recipe for you, courtesy of one of our diocesan priests, Father Brian McGrath, who happens to be an excellent cook. Father Brian invited Reel to Reel over to his rectory kitchen at St. John the Evangelist Church in Agawam and gives us a lesson on how to prepare a fabulous spaghetti sauce fresh out of the garden. We're here in the rectory of St. John the Evangelist Parish in Agawam in the kitchen with Father Brian McGrath. He is the pastor here at St. John's, and in his spare time he really loves to cook. And Father McGrath, thank you for welcoming us here into your kitchen, and we're so excited to see what you have to prepare for us today.
Well, thank you, and welcome to all. So we're going to do my mom's famous sauce, the spaghetti sauce. So we're going to start by putting a pork chop into the frying pan. So.
Okay. And what kind of pork cut do you use?
Well, I tend to just get something with a bone in it. The whole point is to get that pork flavor into the sauce. While that's starting to cook up, we're going to get some of our vegetables together.
Okay.
So we'll start with the onions. When you're cooking with onions, obviously you're going to cry a little bit, but
I'm going to start crying right away. What kind of onion is this?
I usually use Vidalia onions. They're a little bit sweeter,
sweet.
Not as strong as your traditional yellow onion. So a little bit of onion in here. And then some nice mushrooms. So this will be some mushrooms for the sauce, and we'll do a couple mushrooms for the meatballs. So some of our mushrooms are going for meatballs. The rest is going to go into our sauce. So these are just bell peppers. Some of it's going to go in the meatballs and some of it's going to go in the sauce.
And do you measure, or you just go by sight?
I get in big trouble because I ran a chef's club at my last parish with the kids, and some of my helpers were like, "Where are the measuring cups?" Well, does it taste like you want it to taste? No, add some more. You like it? Leave it there. We'll put some olive oil in with this. So the last two ingredients, again, are taste. And so one of them is garlic, and I love garlic. So you have to decide how much garlic you like. With fresh garlic, it's all about the cloves. You find the bottom, and you cut off the bottom, and then you break it. And that just opens the skin right up. So it should be a little bit easier to take off the skin. Otherwise, it's really hard to peel the skin right off of it.
So how about the importance of having a meal together as a family. We're all so busy these days, and, you know, especially during the week.
Yeah, and you know, when we were kids, there's 7 of us, so you can imagine how busy it got. But there was always time for Sunday supper, and so whether we had a big pasta or a pot roast or something, it was just something good to gather the family. And if you look at the scriptures, like Jesus gathers with his apostles or with the sinners or with tax collectors or with all different people, and it's oftentimes around a meal. And whether it be the multiplication of the loaves or the dinner with Matthew right before, you know, as part of his conversion, there's something special about sharing a meal together. All right, so while that's simmering up, we're going to start with our tomatoes. And again, you could get canned tomatoes from the store, but tomatoes are in season. And the thing you don't want to do with the tomatoes in the sauce is the skin. So what we're going to do is we're going to take water, and it's basically just boiling water. I'm going to put the tomatoes in the water, and it'll scald the skin right off of it. So what do we have in here? We have peppers and onions and basil and mushrooms. There's both hamburger and then some pork, ground pork. And we kind of equal portions, maybe a little bit more of the hamburger. And then we have a little bit of breadcrumbs. And this is just to give some body to it. And one more ingredient would be eggs. And so crack a couple eggs in there. We're going to mix it up. You don't want to over mix it because then it becomes, I don't know, you wreck the texture. Yeah, pasty. That's a good way to describe it. I actually have a bowl. I put some cold water in it because I got to pull those tomatoes out. You see how the skin is coming off of them?
Oh, yeah.
So they just come right off. Now you see how meaty these plum tomatoes are. So
Oh,
they're
right, yeah.
Almost all meat.
Yeah.
So we get our sauce, our tomatoes, and we're just going to let them cook on a medium, bring it up to a simmer, and then we'll just let it take its time. Ready? Good thing we washed our hands.
Just like snowballs.
Yeah.
Boy, this is a big meatball, Father.
Just getting it so that it goes around. So we're going to take that and put it right on our stove. The fat from the meatballs, the fat from the hamburger will kind of give it something to cook itself in. And let's take a look at our spaghetti sauce. As it cooks, you see how the tomatoes that we cut into big chunks are now starting to break down to smaller chunks.
Right.
We've been working for about 35 minutes. The sauce is done, meatballs are almost finished, and we'll let them simmer for a little while. So our sauce is really cooked down. The little pork chop is really falling apart. It's so tender now.
Oh my goodness.
I pulled the meatballs out into a bowl, and all we're gonna do is take a little bit of pasta. Pecorino Romano, and you have yourself a little spaghetti meatballs.
Looks delicious.
Buon appetito.
Thank you. Our thanks to Father Brian McGrath for sharing his kitchen with us, and this was a really simple and delicious meal that freezes well too. You can watch a longer version of Father Brian's sauce making on our YouTube channel. We have a link on our website at iobserve.org, and there you can also get up to date on all of the latest news from the Diocese of Springfield and beyond, including coverage next week of the papal visit. That's iobserve.org. And remember, we will be hosting 2 papal viewing parties next Thursday, including an evening session at 7:30 at the Bishop Marshall Center behind St. Michael's Cathedral. We have a complete list of local events at iobserve.org. And I will see you next week with more food as we come to you from the 99th annual Big E in West Springfield. So join us right back here at this same time for another edition of Real to Real, your window on the world around you. See you then.
Real to Real is a production of the Catholic Communications Corporation, funded in part by the annual Catholic Appeal, and the support of you, our faithful viewers.